Hello and welcome to today's live lesson. Hello, we've got people here already. That's nice. MJ and Philippe. Philippe, what's the crack? What's the crack with you? I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for joining, as always. So, yes, everybody, please say hello in the live chat and tell me where you are today as well. So, Philip, hello. How are you? And where are you today? Last time it was Zimbabwe, Philip. And today? NJ, hello. Good morning. And for me, it's hello from Glasgow. And we've got quite a few other people from Glasgow. MJ, how about you? Stalingrad. Thusi, hello. Lots of people joining from the start. Sometimes it happens that, I start this live chat and it's me talking to myself, and that's never good. So good. Okay. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for being on time, which is nice. So today's lesson is about phrasal verbs. Again, about phrasal verbs with come and go. Now, a couple of months ago, I did an advanced vocabulary lesson about phrasal verbs with come. Now, some of you will have been at that lesson, and I've included a couple of phrasal verbs from there as revision. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see if the ones that we had, I think it was the start of February or the end of January, if we get them correct. So that's good. We're going to look at 6 phrasal verbs with come and 6 phrasal verbs with go. As I've said previously, it's good to group phrasal verbs in different ways, by meanings, by the particle, the preposition, or also by the verb. So that's what we're going to look at today, 2 different verbs and some different phrasal verbs. They are generally kind of intermediate level. Some of them are a bit higher than intermediate, I would say. So we'll see if those are the ones that cause any problems. So as always, I'm asking for your participation in the lesson. So in each case, you have to complete the preposition. Okay, so I'm going to give you a sentence with the first 6 are with come, and then the meaning of the phrasal verb at the end in brackets, and all you have to do is complete the preposition. Easy, right? So let's get started. Let's crack on and look at the first one. Okay, let me just put it up onto the screen. For each one, once we get some answers in, we'll talk a little bit about the meaning. We'll talk about other things, other situations where you can use this phrasal verb, and also, we can comment on any of the answers as well. MJ, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending where you are. Oh, Pierre, hello. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so our first sentence was, I have to tell you about an important point which came something at the meeting. And the meaning here is it was raised, or it appeared during the meeting. So an important thing about this phrasal verb is that usually it's used when something is a little bit unexpected. So you imagine if you're having a meeting and it's about something, and then somebody raises a point about something, and it's like, oh, well, we didn't think about that. So we can say that came something at the meeting. Okay, so we've got some different answers coming in already, which is always good. Okay, I'll give you another second to see if anybody else wants to give this a go and give us an answer for this one. We've got 2 answers already, and they're different. Came up and came out. So let's see what is Asa also says came up. So the answer is, I have to tell you about an important point which came up at the meeting. Philip said came. Thank you, Pierre. Philip said came out. Came out almost works, but came out is like if something was a secret, or if something was, not true and it came out. It's like it was released or it became public. It's something like that. So it's a similar meaning, but it doesn't quite work in this case. Okay, so came up means it was raised, somebody mentioned it, something like that, and it was a little bit unexpected. Remember, that's one of the important things with the meaning of this phrasal verb here. So it's came up, it was mentioned, it was unexpected, it came up during the meeting. Okay, very often this is a phrasal verb that we will use when we're talking about meetings, when we're talking about conversations and things like that. Okay, so good. Well done to the people who got it correct. Okay, so that was a little bit of a tricky one to start with. I think this one is a little bit easier, so I'm expecting lots of correct answers to this one. House prices have come something recently with the meaning of decreased. So we're thinking in that direction. Excuse me. So Angie's first in with the answer. Okay, lots of answers there that are correct. Yes, so 4 correct answers. Obviously, come down is the phrasal verb. House prices have come down recently, meaning decreased. So here we're talking about prices. Other things that we could use come down with would be rates or figures or something that can fluctuate, something that can go up and down. So it came down means that it decreased in this case. Good. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. Now, this is one that we definitely had in the lesson, the last lesson about phrasal verbs with come. So I'm expecting some good answers here, even though it's quite a difficult phrasal verb. Okay, we weren't sure what to do, but we eventually came space. So we're looking for 2 prepositions here, a solution that was suitable for everyone. The meaning is think, suggest something, an idea, or a plan. So we're looking for 2 words here to fill the 2 spaces. What have you got? At the beginning, I should have explained what a preposition is, but it appears that everybody knows what a preposition is. So that's good. Okay, good. We're on fire today. Lots of right answers, which I like to see. Excuse me, I'm a little bit blocked up today. It's definitely not COVID. Okay, so the correct answer is we weren't sure what to do, but we eventually came up with a solution that was suitable for everyone. So came up with. So the meaning of this is, like I said, think or suggest an idea, different things that this collocates with. Come down. Yes, MJ, I think you're a little bit behind us, but yes, that's the correct answer to the previous one. Sorry for the delay, I'm sleepy because a mosquito kept me up all night. We don't have that problem here in Scotland, Philippe. You know, so in Brazil, you have lots of big killer mosquitoes, I'm sure, but we don't have that here in Scotland. Anyway, so the come up with phrasal verbs, like with all verbs, it's useful to think about collocations. So the things that we can naturally use these with. So in that case, we talked about come up with a solution. Think about what other things you can come up with. So you can come up with a way to do something. You can come up with an idea. You can come up with a solution. You can come up with a plan. So when we say think or suggest something, it's these type of things: a way, an idea, a solution, a plan that we use come up with. Philip, yes, we're lucky that we don't have these types of insects or mosquitoes in Scotland, but we do have very bad weather. So, you know, we're not 100% lucky, I have to say. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So this is our fourth one with come. Like I said, lots of correct answers here. When does that new movie come something? So be made public, released. And I actually mentioned this phrasal verb earlier in today's lesson. So let's see if you were listening. And I think, said these exact words of the explanation. Okay, some people were listening. That's always good to know. Okay. Azza, you're doing well today. I think you've got them all correct so far. I'm impressed. Okay, anybody else going to give us some answers? No. Okay, let's see the correct sentence. When does that new movie come out? This is also one that we had in the previous lesson with come. So a little bit of revision for you. And Thussy, yes, correct as well. You're welcome. So here we're talking about a movie coming out, being released, being made public in cinemas, if you remember cinemas when these things were open. So it's released. Other things that we can use come out with would be like books or albums or something that is being released to the public for public consumption. Yeah. So those are the types of things that we use this with. Okay. Moving on. In this one, somebody can make a coming out. But somebody can come out, and that's a different meaning there, Philip. So you could phrase it a little bit. So somebody can come out, but this means that, they reveal something personal about themselves. Okay, so let's look at the next one. There could be two answers here. You sound really fluent. Your English is really coming something. So there could be two different answers here that are correct. And this was the example that I gave yesterday on my social media as a little taster for today's lesson. So I definitely expect some correct answers here. Okay. But that is not one of them, Philip. If you paid attention to my social media, then you would get this correct. Okay, good. Some good answers there. Coming along. Coming along means improving. The other option we could have here is coming on, with exactly the same meaning, coming on, coming along, improving. So we can talk about your skill coming along, your English, your football playing skills, whatever it is, but we can also talk about a person coming along. It means that they're progressing, they're getting better. Yeah. So for example, if you have a new employee at work and you say, how are they getting on? You say, they're coming along, they're coming on. So the person is getting better at what they do, just like in this case, the skill is improving. So we can use it about the skill and also about the person as well. Okay, and let's look at our last one with come. Here we go. Okay, so at first he didn't agree with, well, we're missing a word here. I've made a mistake. At first he didn't agree with it, but eventually he came something to my way of thinking. So I think that should be, at first he didn't agree with me. So I'll put that into the full sentence. At first he didn't agree with me. Pierre, that's a good question. What's the difference between on and in and at? It depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about position, if you're talking about phrasal verbs, unfortunately, we can't go into that today. but I'll mark it down as a question for a future lesson, okay? Just because it's going to take a long time, and it depends exactly what you want, what you mean. If you're talking about these things in prepositions, then it depends on the verb it's coming with, and if you're talking about position, then it depends, if you're talking about in, at, hospital, and things like that. So that's a conversation for another time, I think. Okay, so we've got some different answers here with this one. And let's have a look at the correct answer. Yes, we've got correct answers to say. And Philippe, well done. At first, he didn't agree with me. Corrected sentence, but eventually he came round. He came around to my way of thinking. With this one, we can say came around, or we can say came round. Okay, so we can have the A, we can get rid of the A. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So the meaning here is change your opinion, but it's a little bit more than that, because it's like, if you have to convince somebody, if somebody doesn't agree with you, and you try to argue with them, you try to convince them, then eventually they come around to the idea, or they come around to your way of thinking, like we have in this sentence here. So it's got that meaning of that you had to try to convince them, you had to try to make them change their mind about that. So, but some good answers there. Good, perfect. Okay, so we've had 6 phrasal verbs with come. Like I said, some of them I've talked about in previous lessons, but they're all good phrasal verbs. Hi, Josepha. Thank you for joining us. They're all good phrasal verbs, and I hope the explanations give you a better idea of them. As always with language, then you really need to practice these things to be able to say you understand it, and to be able to say that you're going to remember it. Okay, so if you'd like to practice any of the phrasal verbs in today's lesson, then in the comments of this video, once we've finished, then write some example sentences and I'll get back to you, or go onto my social media, my Facebook group, and write some examples there as well, because that's really the difference between saying you remember something, or you know something, and actually being able to use it. But we're only halfway through just now, so that sounded a little bit like I was finishing the lesson, but we're not, because we've got 6 phrasal verbs related to go. And before we do that, please remember to like this video if you like it. Smash the like button, as YouTubers say, and also check me out on social media as well, with lots of updates about live lessons and things like that. Okay, so let's move on. After that little bit of self-promotion, let's move on, and now we're going to look at phrasal verbs with go. Okay, so here's the first one with go. They went something working despite the noise. So the meaning here is continued. Okay, so if you imagine somebody's working, they hear a noise, and then they go back to work. So the meaning here is continue. Okay, and it's a phrasal verb with go. So what could the answer be in this case? Okay, that's a nice easy one to warm us up with phrasal verbs with go. And everybody is correct. One thing that's worth mentioning, I think, about this phrasal verb is that usually meaning is that you continue with something after a little pause, okay, after a little break. So like in that example I said, they heard the noise, they stopped working, and then they went on working after that. Okay, so that's good to bear in mind. And also if somebody says go on talking, yeah, then it means that there's been a little pause, or there's been a little break in that case. So it's got that extra meaning of continued, as these things with phrasal verbs, often they've got an extra little meaning in there that helps us use them in the right context. And just one other thing to point out about that sentence, which is always good to remember about with phrasal verbs, is Pierre, contact me on social media. Okay, you can check out my Facebook and you can send me a message there. So they went on working. Remember that after a preposition or the particle, like in a phrasal verb, if we're using a verb after it, it has to be ing. They went on working. So not they went on to work, they went on working. Always something to remember with grammar when we're thinking about phrasal verbs. Okay? Okay. Let's look at the next one. I don't know what's funny, Philip. I don't know what you're laughing at, but I'm sure it's very funny anyway. Okay, so unfortunately, the business deal didn't go something in the end. So it was not completed or was not finalized is the meaning here. Well, well works in this case, Philip, but well is not a preposition. Well is an adverb, so isn't right in the sentence. No, not well. Well is not a preposition. Come on, guys, I thought we were doing so well. I said I don't need to teach you what preposition is because everybody knows what a preposition is. Okay, go along. No, that's not right. So we're looking for something to mean that it's completed, that the deal is done, and a preposition to make this phrasal verb. So what do we think? Oh, that's an interesting answer, actually, to say, because we can say come off. Okay, so in the first half of the lesson, we could say come off with the same meaning as this, but we can't say go off. Okay, in that case, but that's a good answer. I like that. So come off, and then this is like the same meaning. Okay, we don't have any correct answers here, so that's good. It means we're learning something today. So unfortunately, the business deal didn't go through in the end. So it wasn't completed. So the type of things that we can, Philippe, excellent, well done. We've got a correct answer. So the meaning of this here is, like I said, it wasn't completed. It didn't go through. It wasn't accepted. So it wasn't finalized. It's that meaning. The types of things we can use this phrasal verb with are deals, a sale of something, an application. If your application didn't go through, it wasn't accepted. Philip, yes, thank you, well done. So we use it in this one. So it wasn't finalized in this case. Like I said, deals, sales, applications, these are the types of things that we can use this phrasal verb with. Okay, I need to go over the next page to look at the last four. Next one is those shoes don't go something your suit, with the meaning of suit or match. So suit here in the sentence obviously means like a businessman's suit, trousers, jacket, etc. But in the explanation, suit meaning that they match, they look good together. Okay. So maybe match is a better word to explain this. So when you look at it, you think, okay, this is a good combination. These things look good together. That's the meaning that I want to go with. Philippe, almost there. Philippe, not Philip, but almost correct. Correct. There's just one preposition in this case. Okay, let's have a look at the answer. Well done. Okay, so those shoes don't go with your suit. So a simple example would be here: if somebody's wearing a business suit, they're going to an interview, they've got on their suit, and they're wearing a pair of trainers, a pair of sports shoes. Then it doesn't go. It doesn't go together. Yes, to say we can say both. So not with and together, one or the other. So go with or go together. Yeah. So the meaning is it doesn't match, it doesn't look good together, maybe because of the style, maybe because of the color, things like that. Okay, so that's the meaning here. So well done to Thissy and Philip. Sorry, you got that one correct as well. For some reason I thought you didn't, but you did. So congratulations to you too. Okay, let's have a look at the next example. My mum is always going something, something, two spaces, me about being late for work. Okay, so that meaning here is criticizing. So just imagine that situation if you live with your mother and she knows that you're always late for work, but you know how she would react. So she wouldn't let it go. You know, she would every time she'd say, "You can't be late for work. You know, you need to be on time. It's your responsibility." Things like that. So you can imagine that situation. Go crazy with works, Philip, but it's not what I'm looking for, and it's not actually a phrasal verb as well. It's just an expression. Yeah, it's a little bit the meaning of this I'm thinking about, because go crazy with somebody is just like get angry with somebody, but the meaning here is like criticizing and continuously criticizing somebody for something. So you know the mother keeps on doing it in that kind of meaning. Okay, Philip, that doesn't work, unfortunately. Let's see if anybody else has an answer. No, okay, let's just go with the correct answer. In this case, my mum is always going on at me about being late for work. Now, the at here is actually connected to the person. So go on at somebody about something. So you could say go on about something. My mum is always going on about me being late for work, or my mum is always going on at me about being. So the at is actually connected to the, you know, we're following it with a pronoun or a person, and then if we're talking about the thing that they're going on about, then we use about. Yeah. So think about it like that. Go on at somebody about something. It's good to remember these connections. And the meaning here is criticizing, giving somebody a hard time, but repeatedly. Yeah. So it's not just one occasion. They're keep on going on. They complain about it. They criticize you about it all of the time, as we know mothers can do. Okay, let's go on to the next example. Have a look. Okay, so here we have, which one did you go? And the meaning is choose. There are two correct answers to this. So let's see if we can get both of them in the answer. So there's one space, but we can have two answers with the same meaning. Meaning of choose. So which one did you go with? Yes, that is a correct answer. And what is the other correct answer? So which one did you go with? Can anybody guess the same meaning? The same answer, sorry. Different answer with the same meaning. That's what I meant to say. For as a yes. Okay, so which one did you go for? Which one did you choose? Which one did you go with? Which one did you choose? Same meaning. So we could use this. I don't know if you're in a restaurant. Do you remember restaurants? I guess in some countries they're still open, but not here. If you're in a restaurant and you're ordering, you say, I'll go with the pasta. I'll go for the pasta. Okay, so which one did you choose? Just, you know, quite a simple one with that meaning. Okay, go for and go with would both be correct. Okay, we're moving on to our final phrasal verb for today. So let's see if we can get some correct answers. I don't think he will go something with it, but you can try. Okay, so the meaning here is agree to something. Okay, the meaning here is it's agree to something, but it's something that maybe you don't really want to agree with. It's like you have to convince you a little bit, or you're reluctant. You don't really want to say yes, but you do. It's that kind of meaning here. Yeah. So agree to something, but again with that added idea of I don't really want to do this, but okay, I'll go something with that. Can I say walk with? Not in this meaning, Pierre. You can't say it in this meaning. Okay, so the correct answer is, we had a couple of correct answers there. Philippe and Philip, both doing very well today as well, I have to say. And the answer is, and Thussey as well. Well done. So I don't think he will go along with it, but you can try. So it's like, I don't think he will agree to it, or I don't think he'll be happy to agree to it. He might reluctantly agree to it, but you can try. So that's the meaning there, is agree to something. Okay, well done. And so that was our final phrasal verb for the lesson today. A nice mix of phrasal verbs with different meanings. Some of them you obviously knew. Like I said, the important thing is to practice these in sentences. And with any kind of vocabulary, as soon as you learn some vocabulary, try to use it, as many times as possible in the next coming days. And this will help you remember it. And also your teacher or whoever, somebody checking you, will be able to see if you're using it correctly. Because sometimes when you have an idea of what something means, you try to use it, and then you don't consider one little shade of meaning or something like that. It's not quite right. And that's extremely true with phrasal verbs. So I do a lot of lessons with phrasal verbs. I think they're really useful, especially for the level of this class, from intermediate going to advanced. Phrasal verbs, idioms, all of these things are useful. So if you want to practice any of these things, then like I said, this video will be put on YouTube very soon, and write some sentences in the comments. Even go back to tomorrow and try to make some sentences, and I'll correct them all for you, okay? So yes, thank you for joining me today. I think I will maybe do another live lesson on Thursday. I haven't decided on a topic for this yet. If you have any ideas of something you would like me to talk about in a lesson, in a live lesson or in a video, then contact me on social media. Send me a message, give me some ideas, and usually I will say yes. Okay, so check me out on social media. Remember, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, etc., etc. I'm not going on strike, Philip. No, my only day at the college is Friday, and that's not a strike day. But this Friday is a holiday, so that's good for me. Okay, so like I said, Thursday morning, I'm planning to do a lesson at 10 o'clock, but give me some ideas about what you want to do a lesson on. Okay, otherwise I'll decide myself. Thanks for coming, everybody, and hopefully see you soon. Okay, take care.